what that is? Discipline. Selfish.
No joke. We're legitimate.
Let's fucking do this. Then do it. Do it 100%, because I'm trying to.
We recognize that we are limitless.
You gotta be a champion to become a champion, right? Winning is a habit because we create habits that lead to good execution and success.
It's episode 45 of The Coach's Show. Our second time on our new night on Monday evening. We think we're going to go ahead and stay here, keep it here, as we had a great debut last week, thanks to all of you. I'm still the beardless one, Coach Mike Bianca of the New Orleans Hurricanes, and I'm here with my friend, Coach Ryan Gray, who is now the co-coach of the French powerhouse pro team Scalp. On tonight's show, we discuss the semi-pro scenarios for World Cup and break down the finals match between the Royal City Sea Dogs and New York Wrecking Crew. Our guest tonight from the Wrecking Crew is none other than Stephen Dougherty. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Max Sportswear. For all your custom paintball goods, get maxed. New Coach's Show apparel is now available. Have those conversations with Max at World Cup to get your 2025 gear locked in. Also, catch Charles at Avid Extreme Sports this weekend at the Brand Scenario Game. By the way, check out this Coach's Show shirt. I'm modeling it tonight. I love this one. And BKI, the best knowledge in paintball. New content is being uploaded regularly, and you don't want to miss the additions Ryan and I are making to the coaches section. Don't forget, Ryan and I will be teaching the Coach's Show Clinic level 2.0 at World Cup. This is where we get past event prep and into event execution. So sign up as soon as possible. As a matter of fact, the first 24 to sign up will get a free Coach's Show t-shirt. This clinic will cover things such as agenda, time management, logistics, scouting, line calling, play calling, clock management scenarios, point spread, understanding the situation, you know, all the cool things. Hey, Ryan, I was excited to have Stevie on tonight, but then I found out he was in New Orleans recently. Not even a text letting me know he was in my backyard there. So I was a little disappointed. So I don't know how I'm going to handle tonight. I might.
Oh, you can kick him out of the green room if you want. Just pretend like we didn't see you there. We don't know what happened.
I would never do that. No, I'm really looking forward to talking to him. We've had him on the show before. He's a great guest. Can't wait to discuss this event with him.
Yeah, and he's really, I've been paying more attention to him kind of since their last event, and they've done a really good job since the last time he was on the show, kind of documenting more of their journey and listening to how Stevie is kind of communicating with the Wrecking Crew guys. We kind of made this comment the last time he was on the show. We know he's not ready to hang up the cleats yet and put the gun down, but man, he's a coach, right? Like he's a great leader in the pits. You know, he's obviously taken the coaching role. Certainly in the match we're going to watch, I'll flash to the pit a few times so you can see, like, he's got the clipboard in his hand, right?
Right.
He might be wearing a pack, but he's got the clipboard in his hand, right? So it's really, their story is so good, right? And that's kind of what we try to wrap up. On the show, we want good stories, and the Wrecking Crew story has been, it's been good all year. We talked about them a lot in the off season. They kind of had a rough start of it, but like since that first event, they have just been on a tear, right? And so we'll talk about some of the intricacies because there's some different nuances for the way the points are actually calculated.
Yes.
For World Cup and for who gets that pro spot that's different than what we have in the pro division. So I don't believe, and we'll let him explain all this because I'm not as privy anymore. I don't know if they have double points anymore in semi-pro. I don't think so. But maybe they do, right? And I know for sure they get to drop their lowest score, right? So even going into World Cup, there may be some differences. So we'll see kind of what that looks like when we get Stevie in here and talk to him. I do want to touch back on the coaches clinic thing too. We will be in the VIP and on the pro field the Wednesday before the event starts. We'll get that done from 10 a.m. to noon. We'll have it wrapped up by noon, so you and your team can still get your practice slot and all that good stuff. So try to make sure if you want to participate in that, you need. Yeah, thank you,
Thank you,
Christian.
Christian.
You need to get signed up as soon as possible. The other thing is, if you guys are digging what we're doing, and we want Major League Paintball to continue to allow us to do, because otherwise the only way for us to do it is away from an event, and that's more expensive for everyone. You're already going to be at the event. Take advantage of this opportunity. Also going to have a couple of special guests who are going to come in and visit with you guys. We're going to have 2 other coaches. I'm going to get one for the first hour of the clinic and then one for the second hour because of the 2 different skill sets that each one of them brings. So there'll be a couple special guests with us. So it's really cool. If you guys want to participate in that, you should. You're also going to get a ton of assets. They're going to help you if you are a player coach. We're going to give you a lot of tools that can help you to set things up prior to your match starting. And then also, if you're just a coach, we're going to give you a lot of things that can help you with data and how to really manage the game. So really important. If you want to participate in that, you need to get signed up quickly. You can go to majorleaguepaintball.com/coaches show, or you can just go to PB Leagues. I believe it's up now at the very top of the screen, right below the Hertz banner. You can click on that, go right in there and sign up. If it's not there, though, you can go to Major League Paintball, or you can just go below this or above this, depending on where you're watching us, and click the link and sign up.
Yes. And you're absolutely right.
I
did want to hop back to Stevie real quick. You're absolutely right about Stevie. He's got the makings. I've enjoyed this evolution of the Wrecking Crew, and I've enjoyed this evolution of Stevie, right? He's got the makings to be a tremendous coach. Now, if we just work on his language a little bit, it'll be great. It'll be absolutely fantastic. So, all right. I know I'm an old FUD, but I'll shut up. What is that? What?
You're coming
Don't
at me.
say
Sorry. Number one, I'm sorry if my microphone sounds poor. I am fighting the fight over here. I'm on my second laptop, but we made it. So, yes, 3 things. Number one, I owe you an apology, Coach, because I was, in fact, in New Orleans, and I did not call you. That was uncalled for. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Yeah, and I will not make that mistake again. Number 2, I blame myself because my last name is so difficult to pronounce and it makes no sense. It's Doherty, like D-O-C.
I think we knew that from the last time. I apologize.
We did. I apologize because
I'm going to do a better job of making it so that nobody can forget my name. So I'll keep working on that, and we'll get there. And then the third one is I do curse like a sailor, and you know what it is the intensity. It just takes over, and you stop thinking about being correct, and you just start letting it rip. But I could probably do a better job of less F-bombs. I'll meet you in the middle there.
I love
Brother,
it. Hey, listen.
I'm the same. I have to be really careful all the time. He scolds me constantly.
Gentlemen, listen, I all I'm saying is that one of these things, it's like, because you guys are such logical and intellectual characters and great men, you know, you don't have to be so I get it, Stevie, right? You're passionate and it comes out, right? I get it. I mean, but if you're going to be in that coaching role, you want to show that control, right? You want to show that control and be able to, because the beauty of it, the way I use it is, if it does come out, which is very seldom, I'll admit I'm not innocent.
They really pay attention.
It really has an effect, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're just using it all the time, if it becomes an adjective that you're using all the time, then you know, like the blinking sky, the blinking grass, then it, you know,
100%.
it loses its power. But I'll shut up now. Our people didn't come here to listen to me do that. They came here to listen to you and talk to us about how awesome the Wrecking Crew are doing, and to break down this as we head into the World Cup. So let's rock and roll on it.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate that. But you know, hey, listen, we're on camera now a lot, so I still don't disagree with you. I can probably do a better job with a new audience who's, you know, maybe he's watching for the first time. So
love it.
I don't know if World Cup's going to be the event that I make the change, but I'm going to be conscious about it going forward. Because not just you, our owner says, he goes, do you have to curse so much? Do you really have to say the F word so much? I'm like, man, you're not wrong, but it just happens. But yeah, so semi-pro is interesting. Ryan, I heard you mention some of the different
And I don't
ways
know
that it shapes out. And you missed every one of them. So
perfect.
Semi-pro.
That's why you're here.
I know. Semi-pro does not drop an event.
Okay.
Okay. Then let's look at those numbers again.
World Cup is double points.
Okay.
And they take the top 4 for a bye. So as much as I love Major League Paintball, and I will never, ever say anything publicly or privately to dog on them because I think they do an incredible job. It's a thankless job. The league is fantastic. People that say otherwise, I think you have to look inward more than you need to look outward at the league, but I digress. When it comes to the double points and the bye, it's putting us in a predicament with our points. We didn't have a great Vegas. We started off the season with what we felt like was a full-time coach. It was a major departure from our traditional path, and we didn't have the best event. We had an early exit on Sunday, and that really is going to put us in a tough position going into the Cup. We can still win the pro spot, but we're not in the driver's seat. So we have to do what we do. We're going to go out there and try and win the event, but we need some math to work in our favor with some other teams losing in strategic places. So the fact that both of them are combined together, I think what I'm looking at is Major League Paintball is doing an incredible job of bringing value to the players, right? Because like you work all season long, you earn that bye, you're playing on Sunday at World Cup no matter what. That feels great, number one. But then having the double points on top of that, it's like you pick one or the other. The double points are a pipe dream for divisional teams to sign up to say we still have a chance, right? Austin Notorious still had a chance. Double points was the difference between being a pro team and not being a pro team. So you can find value in both options. It's just now that we have both, ultimately here I am. All we had to do was win one more match in Vegas, and we're having a very different conversation. So instead of putting it on Major League Paintball, I'll take that one. That's on us.
No, it's an excellent perspective, but you do make a good point in the fact that if the top 4 teams, who, by the way, are only separated by maybe 30 points, and we're talking, hey, all 4 have just made Sunday.
What's 50?
Yeah.
50 points.
50?
I think we're 30 points behind now, I thought.
Yeah, so it's
you're 29.
Yeah, leverage is 382. You guys are 356.
No,
sorry,
they're 353.
Sea Dogs are 356. You're 353. Newbies are 335. TJ Bastards are 321.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 50 points separate the top 4.
And I have to give a huge shout out to In the Pits podcast, who I believe is in here.
Yeah, Christian.
Yeah, he did an excellent breakdown. So basically, the only possible outcome is either us, leverage, or the Sea Dogs winning the spot. The newbies can't mathematically do it with the double points.
Right.
Ultimately, we need leverage to be seated 2 spots behind us after prelims. And then we need leverage and the team that finishes prelims ahead of them to both lose in the quarterfinals. And then we can win the pro spot. So again, we're in the driver's seat. We still have to go out and win an event. There's still a $20,000 check on the line. There's a lot to play for, right? Like we're as a team incredibly positive going into this event. We're ready to go. And the paintball gods, they shine their light on us, right? This is our first season in semi-pro. We're coming off our second event win. We put the work in, and we just got to go out there and keep working and let the paintball gods handle the rest.
Yeah, and I want to be clear that the conversation we're having about that is not that should be the focus of Wrecking Crew. Winning World Cup is the most important thing.
It's the only thing we care about.
By far, right? That's the most, like the year we won it with Austin Notorious, I didn't even know we won the series until later. And I didn't, I cared, but it wasn't, I cared about winning World Cup. Like that was the deal for me. I'd never won that tournament before. I'd won the first event, second event, third event, fourth event throughout the year, sometimes a couple of times throughout my career. I have 5 second place finishes at World Cup, 5, and 0 wins. So I just wanted to win World Cup. So the reality is we just want the listeners to kind of understand how it works, right? Like, because it's so different. Even than 2 years ago when Austin Notorious won it, And Christian made a really good point in here as we were talking about that. There were no buys then, right? So like that kind of opened the door when Blastcamp fell out and didn't make the cut at World Cup. Now it was just us and Paintball Fit, right? So like that allowed for that one team who was in the race, if you didn't show up to play well at the final tournament, to fall out, right? So they just change it. It feels like so often it's hard to keep up.
And like I really truly understand where they were coming from. I don't think that they were like, okay, let's look at the implications of a mathematical race going into Cup, because if let's say a team that struggles towards the end of the season, they're starting to unravel a little bit, and they get Ocho exit at World Cup. That happened to us in D3. We won every event that season. At World Cup, we had an early Sunday exit. It was a crazy game. Like we lost on a major penalty with like 10 seconds left. That's how we went home. So like long story short, we've been on both sides of this now, and there's definitely an answer. It's just kind of floating in between. I think the NXL is, again, like I don't give them any criticism over this, because it's a system that ultimately benefits its most valuable customers, the teams that come back and continue to play. So like I totally get where they're coming from. But it definitely takes away some of the fun when you're like, man, these other teams have to lose games that they have no business losing, but maybe there's some fun in that too. So we'll see what happens.
I'm really glad that Ryan brought that up, because right before he hopped in there, I was just going to say, but as a coach, you recognize the fact that all that's noise. It's a great topic. You're right. It's a great water cool conversation.
You guys are going to kill me, Tommy, coach, over and over again.
So, but you know that your job is to focus those guys to be laser focused on just playing their best game. Our job, the only thing that exists is now that first point, that first match, that event that is in front of us, that all is kid. This doesn't matter. We got to go out there. We got to execute and be the best we can be. And what happens, because honestly, if you go into this thinking we have to do this, you've added additional, we
avoid that pressure
that you don't need. Right.
100%. I got to give a shout out to our owner, Rob. Rob goes above and beyond in ways that other people can't fathom. And he does an excellent job of really painting the bigger picture for us. We get really caught up in the intricacies of the layout and the event. And like, he's always kind of that right outside the circle, like observing everything. He always says this saying that I take from him. You can't see the forest from the trees. And I think in paintball, that's quite an exceptional quote. It happens a lot, but he does a good job of standing outside of the forest and watching us like beat each other up in there, pull us out when we need to.
Yeah, and he's in the chat, and he's sharing some bits and pieces here and there. So
yep.
Hey, I want to tell you too, like us calling you coach, like you are a player coach.
I know,
like
I'm just being funny.
No, but I just want to make sure, like, you understand it's not a like, we're not saying you're not a player, but you are in the role on that team as player coach. Like it or not, that's the role you're in. Again,
yeah, it's true.
You're holding the clipboard in the film I'm about to show, so you can. Like, we can go back and forth if you want, but the film doesn't lie.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, it is.
I mean, if you want to get caught up in the nomenclature, we can. I mean, we could sit there and say, okay, I'm team captain. I'm a leader. I'm this.
It's more of a respect thing amongst my team. Like, I asked my teammates just to refer to me as captain, right? Like, they have different nicknames for me or whatever. But like, in my heart, I'm a player. And being a player is what allows me to be a great coach when I need to be a great coach. There's times where I've been on the field and there's times where I've been in the pits, but ultimately, like, it's team first, and whatever the team needs, that's what I'm going to do, because the team is bigger than me. And right now, like, what we need is somebody to keep track of all the X's and O's. And as it stands, I'm the guy that's finding the gaps and really dialed into the game plan. So I'm just doing what the team needs at this moment. Maybe at World Cup, there's a spot on the field that's perfect for me, and I would go out there and I would crush it. But unless I'm head and shoulders above somebody else in that role, I'm light years ahead of other people when it comes to being on the clipboard. So it's like, that's still the spot that I'm best helping the team. That's where my priority is going to be.
God, if only there was a name for the guy who did that.
Yeah, what
who was
is
really
it?
good at the X's and O's and really understood the game flow.
And he kind of steps
There's
in
a
and
name.
leads
It's right on the tip
things.
of my
And
tongue. We'll
yeah,
talk
I
about it
can't-
later. Maybe we'll think of what the name is
I don't know.
later.
Maybe it's somewhere around.
Yeah, we'll think about it. Maybe we can figure out. There's got to be, if there isn't a name, Stevie will create one for you. But I think
By the
there
way,
probably is one.
Cooking me.
By the way, Dan Shelley, absolutely correct, Dan Shelley. That's why I put your comment up there. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. Question for Stevie. If you guys were to somehow win the pro spot, would crew dance with the one that brought them and run things the same way? Or would you seek to find a full-time coach for the position?
That's a great question. I think that we haven't closed the door on looking for a coach, but I think that we're just going to do it differently. We're going to do it our way. And, I think we're really looking for somebody like, again, that meshes well with the team, because we're all about chemistry. I know that you guys are about to show a clip from our video series. If you guys haven't watched that, Nick from God Films is unbelievable when it comes to storytelling, right? Like at the end of the day, like these are not like paintball videos as much as they're like emotional roller coasters. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. So back to the question, if there was a person available that made sense, I think it's nice to have an assistant coach or whatever you want to call it. And, I'll never say no as it stands. Like my heart is in being a player. I want to, if we earn a pro spot, like, my guys will step up to anybody that says that I can't play and that's why I'm coaching. Like it's a joke, right? So like, there's part of me that still wants to prove that to the world. Like, as good as I am on the clipboard, I can contribute on the field just as much if needed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with that being said, maybe our path is to find somebody that I can work with in tandem, and I can trust that this person understands what I look for when I'm in the pits, so that if I am on the field and I walk off, we can instantly have that communication to say, hey, so-and-so, what happened here? Oh, okay, I can make that adjustment.
And that's what every good coach, that's what every good coach should want. You want every team they coach to be, to have the guys like he has Stuart Ridgel. I've had guys in my past who I trusted with all of that kind of information that would come to me and say, hey, coach, I see X, Y, because we're not on the field. We see, and you know this from standing on the side, you see 30 to 40% of what's actually happening. Those guys have to come back in and give you all that feedback. They got to give you all the information, and you have guys, and maybe you don't, but I have had guys on every team that I've coached, I don't care what team it was, that when they came back in and told me something, I have questions, right? Yeah. I'm like, that I can see that 30%, and I don't know if any of that happened. But then I have other guys that come off, as soon as they tell me, Coach XYZ, I know it was XYZ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ryan, that's a really great point. And we have a saying, right? Like we don't say it often, but it's like you learn this when you join the team. Answer the question asked. If you come off the field and I asked you a pointed question, I don't want to hear your nonsense as to why you're justifying your next spin. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is specifically what I asked you, because it's part of my formula to be prepared for the next spin. I know whether or not you got shot off the break. It happens. Totally. Everybody gets shot off the break. Nobody's faster than a paintball. Don't come in expressing yourself to me like, oh my God, this and that. And I'm not talking about wrecking crew right now. We are a well-oiled machine. We're well past that. But that is something that I see when I help out other teams that is really a major detriment, is like pining for yourself as you come off the field to be like, oh, I deserve to go back out because it wasn't my fault that I got shot. Blah, 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 blah. And you're like, wait, did you get shot off the break or did you get shot on your first gunfight? That's the only question I asked for you.
I love how you said, say it for the people in the back, please, Stevie, because it's fascinating to me when, you sit there, hey, this, that, and then you ask a very specific pointed question when they came in and they start giving you a story about what happened before they get to the answer. And right then I'm like, that's not what I'm asking. I need you to give me this data, right? Yeah. Just like you said, I don't need you to justify if you're getting another spin right now. I need this data. The data is for the team, not just you. It's not just you. There's
spins
4 other guys out there
practice.
With you. And there was 2 other words.
Spins at the tournament.
Exactly.
So
you earn them at practice. You don't learn them at the tournament. And number two, use 2 words when you talked about if you were to bring somebody else in. Use 2 words: trust and communication, right?
Yeah.
And those things have to be present there. So, and it's not going to be somebody that you're just going to bring in like, hey, yeah, I met this guy in Indiana the other day at World Cup and he seems like a good fit. No, it's not going to happen. It's going to be someone you're already familiar with and that you trust and you have that communication with. So, and who knows, it could be somebody from outside the system that
Listen,
you have an instant
I
rapport
know
with.
somebody that I love that I would bring back in a heartbeat. So we'll see what happens.
Excellent.
And you guys have, your system is great, right? You guys are being really successful. Now it's a totally different animal. You win the pro spot, it's a different deal, right? It's a different animal. It's just different. I don't care what anybody says, it's different, right? And I hope that when you guys, whomever comes in, can do a good job. The semi-pro division this year is a little bit different than what we've had over the last few years. It's a little, I don't want to say watered down because that's not the right word, but kind of. You know, the teams that were there for 3, 4, 5 seasons in a row, battling for that spot, that were going to war every event, they were a little more ready. And I'm not including us and Notorious in that. When we won it, we weren't ready. We needed another season or 2 in semi-pro to season, right? To season. Now, you guys, I think, have all the right pieces. Your organization's really good. Mike and I were having this conversation with Tom Cole when we were in Paris, and we were talking about the semi-pro division. And I used you guys specifically talking about not can the team be successful, but the organization, right? And that's a big difference when you think about some of the teams that are in the hunt. Do they have the right organization that can come into the professional division and have some length? Can you play for more than 2 or 3 seasons? And I think you guys have the ability to do that because you have a great organization. You have a good owner. You have great leadership. You have players who are young, hungry, where you guys could come in. And again, because of the youth of your group, you could be around a long time. A long time.
Number one, that's a huge compliment, and thank you. I think our average age on the team is like 24 these days, so like we are still very young. Yeah, I mean, it's super sick to have some guys that have some veteran experience to be able to mix in with the youngsters. And we used to be even younger. Coming like last year, our average age was like 22. In D3, our average age was 20 years old. We lost some guys to college along the way, and we've picked up a new cast of characters. Like, for example, our most recent pickup, Aiden, unbelievable. He played on Team USA. Yeah. The guys got to know him, and it was like day one, we slotted him right in. He fit the system perfectly. But ultimately, I think, I think we've played like 15 out of the 20 pro teams now. And like I said this last time that I was here, we're no stranger to the fact that Marcelo has opened a ton of doors for us.
Sure.
But we earn the right to be invited back. It's one thing for someone to do him a personal favor. And like the amount of effort and hard work that we put in, I say something in the pits again from Marcelo, we're confident, we're not cocky. It's because we work hard. And that allows us to be confident. So when we walk on the field with our chest pushed out, it's not because like we just think we're better than you. Like, no, we work harder than you. We want this more than you. And we're going to show you. And that's kind of like, how it materializes. At MAO, I think we had a 4th place finish, a 5th. I don't know where we were, but same thing. 1 penalty separated us from going on to win that event and getting, stuck back. So like there's stuff for us to work on, but as an organization, I feel like we absolutely are on the right path. And Rob has been building this for years to be something that continues on. The goal was never to just let it die out. Like, we want to win it, pro. We've won a tournament in our first year in every season. I don't care what anyone says. There's no reason why we can't come out and try and do the same thing in the pro division. Just like you, Mike, you guys stepped right up and said, hey, listen, we're here to play. And we feel like we can do the same thing.
Yeah, and we practiced you guys. I practiced you guys before, and I would play you guys anytime, because not only are you a great organization and a great team, you're also humble. You guys are all really respectful, like very understanding of different tempos of practice. And you guys are, you have all the makings, right? And that's why I meant by from an organizational perspective, keep in mind, I don't know the Sea Dogs well. I know a few of their players. We had their coach on the show. I don't know what their backing looks like. I don't know what their structure looks like. They could also have that kind of organization, and I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm as much of a student as the game as you can find. I know everything about every possible semi-pro contender. I haven't really seen any other organization that has the system that we have in place.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know who those guys practice, like where they're from. But when they're at events,
Canada.
I can tell you. I know they're from Canada, but I don't know like who do they I don't know who they practice. They're doing pretty damn good if they don't have a sparring partner that's up there. So, you know, full hats off to those guys. But yeah,
we've only had
being a pro team. It takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. You're preaching to the choir on that one. We've had the privilege of just scrimmaging you one of the Thursday or the 1 hour practices. And to Ryan, and I've only had you for that 1 hour. And in that 1 hour, I was highly impressed. And this is not me blowing sunshine up your bahookas. This is me literally letting you know that the questions you guys were asking was fantastic, right? You guys were so willing to get in there and mix it up. And hey, what do we need to do? Why are we doing this? You know, that everything was just great. And I did want to step back to something you mentioned. You talk about puffing your chest out, and why there's a fine line, right? In understanding how hard you worked and going to an event and recognizing I've worked hard. Matter of fact, I made a quote about this on Instagram recently, right? Preparation equals confidence. The more prepared you are, the more confident you should be. And I truly believe that. And of course, that was me speaking to my guys, no joke. But I do believe that confidence is when you believe in yourself and your abilities. Arrogance is when you think you're better than others, and there's no work ethic there. You could say that arrogance is false confidence and that the person displaying it is probably overcompensating for something, right? So long story short, you've got that swagger, and it's not just the New York thing, right? It's the fact that you guys do work hard. You do put in the work. You do have a system that is conducive to winning. And that's what's important. But yeah, it's going to be, listen, when and if you do find yourself in that spot, in that professional spot, you already know it's going to take a new gear. It's going to take a new mentality. It's going to take a whole new level of work. But, you know, like you said, like Ryan has alluded to, the organization seems prepped for it.
Totally. Yeah, I would like to believe right now that if you put our practice schedule and the amount of time that we spend on the field against most pro teams, I think that we're outworking some people. And, you know, we still have years to go to build chemistry. This team has only been together for 3 seasons,
right?
Like, ultimately.
Wow.
So some of the things that make the best pro players are the intangibles, right? The chemistry between each other on the field. I mean, Colton, Seth, and I are the longest standing wrecking crew members. And funny enough, when I look at them, their body language, I can read them like a book. I can read all my guys at this point like a book, but it's like a second. It's something different. Like, I've spent enough time with them that we're like, it's like, okay, I'm looking at Colton. I'm thinking as him. I feel like when I see him on the field. Yeah. And that's special, but it's going to take us some time to get there. So as long as, you know, we can stay together as a group, we'll work on that. But the work ethic's not going to stop. We're going to keep grinding.
You just nailed it, right? If you guys can stay together and you keep everybody on the same page and you don't lose guys to school and girls and, you know, all the things that can happen and in bunches, if you lose 1 or 2, that's going to happen, right? Just as the evolution of a team works. But if you don't, like, as long as you don't lose guys in bunches, you guys will have a long history in front of you. And the other thing Mike is saying too about the work in the gear is the extra gear is it's not necessarily different from a time perspective and an effort perspective of what you're doing now. It's just where you focus the energy, right? It's less about, and you guys do I've seen the way you run practice, and it's awesome. It's exactly how I love to do it. And so it's just about the quality of the things that you're doing, not about the quantity. It's doing it, having really good discussions about why certain things occurred, repairing, retesting, and you guys do a really good job with that already. It just gets a little bit, that extra gear is not necessarily like a tempo thing as much as it's like okay, we really have to emphasize that this is about the mental part of the game, not about the physicals. You guys, like, one of the things that we're gonna talk about when we play this match here in just a second and break it down with you is just how well you guys are off the break. And that very first practice we had with you guys in Florida, the first thing you told me is, Coach, we're really good off the break. And the reason we're really good off the break is we do this for a day. And I watched you guys, and we did some of it with you. You guys shoot shots for a day. I mean, you really do that. And we're about to see what that does when you spend that kind of energy on that part of the game. And especially in semi-pro, where if you can do that in semi-pro, you're going to win a lot of matches, right? Like in pro, it is a little bit different. You shoot a guy off the break and get comfortable in pro, you're still in trouble. Because
we get that a lot. We win most of the break. I don't want to say most of. We win a very handy amount of breakouts with damage, but when it's Jason, Jacob, and Keith Brown that are left, they drive us. This is the saying that I have recently. We want to drive teams in the deep end. We don't want to let them drive us into the deep end. And like, damage can tread water for a long time. We want to
bring floaties.
Point. Yeah, 100%. So when you're in that 5-on-3, we call that wrecking crew. When we go up wrecking crew, that's where the experience will win those low body situations for them. And that's going to be the mental hurdle that we're prepared for. Like, we're going from a shift of like, all right, let's say we go into the pro division, and we're used to dominating every season that we play. And now we're fighting to stay in games, right? We're earning our stripes. Mentally, we need to be strong to work through that and be comfortable with not winning, and not have guys that are like, well, I got this offer to go to this team and they're winning, so I'm just going to jump. Like, they have to want it with us.
That's it, right? And you kind of made that comment earlier, and I just wanted to make sure I touched on it, and you're saying it again. And I think, that focus and that commitment that each one of those guys, and like, that's what we did with Notorious when I got there in their D2 year. I was like, you guys got to commit to me for this amount of time, and I'll commit to you for the same amount of time. Like, we have to do that in order to get where we're going. Otherwise, there's no point in going on this journey together. If we're just here to get to the next space somewhere else, then let's not do this, right? Let's not waste each other's time, and let's just move on. I did want to bring some meters in the chat, and I was going to use him. You used a couple of great examples, but like, when you have, Meter, TJ, and Fuzzy, and and that's kind of that X Factor core back three guys. Every team in the league has those three guys. They have some set, and maybe not as scary as the three you mentioned and the X Factor guys, but you have a Drew Bell and a Stuart Ridgel. Like, every team has those guys that when you're, as a coach, you get into a 3-on-5 and you're like, we're still good.
It's funny that you mentioned that. So like, to tie this into like coaching philosophy, I have like this little saying. I like to call it the iron triangle. When I look at layouts, I'm like, where is the iron triangle? Where do I want to put three bodies to control the flow of the game? And then I'll use, shameless plug, and then I'll use the outside space to create a patternless breakout, so that when you scout us and you sit down to talk about how we play, you're like, I don't really know what to say. And we intentionally change our game plan through our 4 prelim games to make it so that when you talk, you go with you guys played Wrecking Crew. What did they do? Oh, well, they pushed us on the Dorito side. And then you talk to the other team. What did they do? Well, they pushed us on the Snake side. You go, well, which one was it? And then they watch us one game, and then we're heavy in the middle. So like, it's all very intentional. It's all building towards like the bigger picture. And I think that's probably a good segue into our match, because I can probably describe some of that to you. As you
sounds very hurricane-ish. I was just going to throw that in there.
Well, you are somebody that I look up to, both of you. So.
Totally. Yeah, and it's like, but the understanding, like, and we all talk about that at every practice, right? Every good team is saying, where are the 2 to 3 or possibly 4 spots if I have 4 guys that I need to be in if an emergency occurs, right? Like if I have to break out because I have a penalty or whatever the case may be, like where are those 4 or 3 spots, possibly 2, that I have to be in these emergency situations, especially if I'm up points? Where do I have to be to slow the game down? And if you're listening to this and you're not doing that, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, right?
You really are.
running
Friday homework. That's homework.
running timed drills where you put guys in a couple of spots, you start a stopwatch, and you put 3 to 4 guys on the other side, and you go, okay, go win the point, and you see how long it takes them, right? Okay, that time we got 2 minutes.
And you do it a lot because you want to have
that time we got to
average.
2 minutes. Let's do it again.
That's right.
Yep, let's do it again.
Beyond that,
move 1 spot maybe.
Beyond that, even like when it comes to that building, you should be going into the event understanding how to win the situations before they materialize, right? Like when we are winning an 11-second point or a 30, like for example, there was one match where we were down by 2 with 1:13 left, and we won we scored 3 points in 1:13 seconds. Because in my playbook, I have all of those situations already determined as of practice through the hold plays, the fast plays. What happens if they do this to us? How do we counteract? And they're not necessarily like written down, but it's all built within the philosophy of like our system, which I don't want to give away too much from. We got one more event to win, but you know, it's all part of the system.
I'm going to bring to our clinic that we're doing, this is another plug for the clinic, but to our clinic that we're doing at World Cup, I'm going to bring 2 books, one that we got from a team in Spain and one that we got from a team in Germany, where literally they have every single play, every zone, every scenario and situational thing, literally all on paper. And it like bound in this like beautiful, I have it right here, in this like book that every single one of their players
laminated
gets this
even
book.
That's sick.
Like
my guys would kill me,
dude. I'm telling you, it is like the most thoughtful thing,
detailed.
Like when
that's
they
what my
handed me
brain
this,
looks like on the inside.
me too, right? But
Yes,
what it made me realize is like I want my player's brain to look like this too.
I know.
Right?
I wish. I always say that we want to have 5 quarterbacks on the field. I don't want one person. Like when we walk a layout, every player walks every position. If you can't play the snake, even if you're my Dorito attacker, you're not earning a spot on the field, because I need you like to be able to fill across. If you're Alex Barker and you're playing the 2 on the Dorito side and you find yourself in the snake, you should know every shot in the snake so that you can effectively play that role. And that goes back to having 5 quarterbacks. So like that's part of our preparation is like usually teams have that one guy on the field that's directing traffic. We can pass that ball to anybody at any given time, and I'm comfortable with them finding the champion, addressing where the opportunities are for us to win, and then executing.
It's giving
Jackson Rudy. Yeah, Jackson Rudy was our finals MVP because he played that quarterback role from the center of the field to perfection.
Yeah, I watched perfection. He did great.
Yeah, he did.
Let's jump into this because
let's let it rip.
There's a lot of good stuff in this.
If they let us talk, we will talk forever.
That's true.
Yeah, I'll never stop.
So I was on PTG earlier and we went like 2.5 hours. I don't know if the episode's up yet, but
I'll be cutting it up later tonight.
Okay. We went like 2.5 hours and literally I didn't get up. I drink a ton I drink like 15 of these a day. And I had drank so much water and I was literally
let me go to the bathroom.
Please don't ask me another question. Like I love talking to you guys, but please don't ask me another question. I have to go to the bathroom so bad. Which I guess it was recorded, so I could have said like, hey, can we take a break? But I didn't. So yeah, so let's set this up for us. So you guys versus the Sea Dogs. Had you met yet in the tournament?
We beat them in Texas and we hadn't seen them since.
Okay, so it'd been a little while since you played them, but you're obviously very familiar with them. Up tempo, usually flying around like crazy.
I would disagree. I think that the Sea Dogs, at their core, they want to pick gunfights. They like to play the 5 safest bunkers, and they want to beat you by dragging you into the deep end. And
that's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
very
you watch
different.
their gameplay here, I'll talk about it because we had watched them all tournament and they
that's what I was
going to
say.
way.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is they looked really slow in this match, and
I played the entire event like that.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, our game plan was made specifically to beat them. So, like for example, I mean, we can talk about it as we watch. Probably easier.
Yeah.
All right.
Of course. So we're going into point 1 here.
Yeah. So the number one thing that we recognized was that they will get to what we consider win conditions, like the 30 Dorito before you get into the Dorito side snake, and they would play inside, and they wanted to cross their guns, communicate to their guys, and wait for you to make a mistake. So our game plan going into this match was to punch them in the face before they had a chance to realize what was happening, and that's how we went into this first one. So let's see. I'm going to have Jackson Rudy running and gunning to the brick because the first or second point, every match that they played, they either tested the 30 or 20 Dorito. So I said, all right, we're going to run and gun up to that center 50 brick. We're going to try and shoot that guy going wide. And I'm going to pull Colton's gun back to the home and have him shoot out there. We call it the Cali, the first bunker out on the snake side, that little temple there. Yeah, so we watched him. I knew that player going in was slow and sloppy. So we were going to pick on him. That was going to be our bully. We put 2 guns on him from the interior to make sure that we took him off the field. And that was our kill one. From there, now we're about to go to kill 2. And then Ben's probably going to launch into the Dorito side snake.
So was Jackson's job to shoot the Dorito side on the way up there and then give it up for a little bit because he had 2 other
100%. So his job here is to stop them from getting anywhere in that early snake. So the way that they played the snake is they would stop at each knuckle and they would sit up and look for inside shots. And if you're going to do that, then that center brick looking to that early snake, we found this with damage, you can just bully that guy and harass him. He can't really do anything. So you'll see us, we usually pass that and go all the way in the snake because there was really no benefit to sitting up in the 1, 2, or 3 unless we were playing a team that had middle presence. These guys have 0 middle presence. So we never even thought about that. We just thought, let's get behind them, shoot them in the back. We'll crawl all the way down to where they can't see us. I think Ian's collecting himself a little bit here. He's probably a little tired making that crawl late in the day, just a dog on him because he had a great tournament. But
you can also tell he already knows. I think he's setting up for the shot because he knows the shot.
I think he played it perfectly.
Yeah, I just wanted to dog on him a little bit because he's too good. And he had a fantastic event, so I have to put him down a little bit. That pin being right there was excellent to go. We call this the Viper. We're going right to the Viper. We're going to pick on you from there. And like you'll see, he turns immediately. Every time I had them get a kill cross field, I immediately had, you better turn with your gun up, ready for the trade, because they're going to come. And that's a byproduct of practicing pro teams who analyze threats and take them off the field much faster. So when we get into the semi-pro game where teams are playing slow, it didn't happen as much. But watching that, I know he's hearing me in his head like, I just shot this guy, I better turn and look for the guy coming to get me. So kudos to him.
And I was shocked that the guy didn't come.
Me too.
Yeah, I was shocked the guy didn't come. Because
I told you these guys didn't want to push the objective. They never pushed the objective. They wanted to sit back and try and drive teams into the deep end. I don't know if that's because they don't have a deep roster. Like we roster 11 guys. So if one guy's tired, that doesn't mean that our attack is letting up. The next guy in line is coming just as fast as the last one and foot on the gas all tournament. Which
we get a look at that.
I was just trying to say he looks like he's going kind of slow here, but he's just methodically checking off his checklist, and he's playing the way that he should play. This guy in the corner should be doing whatever he can to come get him off the field. He's just not.
It's the first point. He's got Overwatch from Rudy. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, first point. Yeah, I was just going to say, to me, he's playing this perfectly. First point, up the body. He shot another guy. Now we're up 2 bodies. I can relax here. I don't have to do anything. We can play a 1-minute point. They can blow the horn with a minute left. Like at this point, as a coach, I think what he's doing is perfect, right? Like,
I'm definitely
trying
happy
to press things.
Yeah.
Yeah, not trying to press things. He's not overplaying. He's really safe where he is. He doesn't have to do a lot here. And if the guy does come to get him from the corner and gives away this entire side for now the guy behind me to come in, that's even better.
There it is. And that's what I was getting at. I'm getting at the fact that he doesn't have to do anything. He's got Overwatch from Jackson Rudy, who is in the brick. You already own the 50 Dorito, the opposite side, who's creating pressure. This guy in the corner is on. Yeah. Nice.
And that's a shot that he knows because we checklist that shot. We knew going into that, we call that the poison. If you're in the poison and they're in the corner, if you come to the inside between the beam and the brick, the baby brick, the shot is there and you're going to catch that guy coming to get you. So that's like me watching one of my guys go through his checklist. He understood every aspect of how to play that snake. And like a lot of what you're missing there from a communication standpoint is he's being fed information where he's at and he's playing off of that information. So he's prioritizing his body after he's gotten into a win condition bunker. That's part of our formula. Find the win conditions, get to the win condition, support your teammate from, like, if you're two, sometimes you have to get close to them. In that instance, our support was Jackson Rudy in the center playing Overwatch on Ian. You know, if that guy left the corner and Ian wasn't already looking for it, Jackson would have chopped him up either way.
Sure.
And if you look at their body language,
their two bodies in the Dorito are letting Jackson know, hey, Jackson, stay on your job. We've got you. We're still alive here. The minute Jackson realizes no one's talking to him, now he probably changes. But as long as he's hearing that voice, he stays on task. You've got the snake corner. Even if the corner comes and trades with the guy, now your snake corner has easy access all the way to what we call access point.
And you don't want Colton cleaning up the mess because it's over at that point. So Jackson is a very cerebral player. I love putting him in positions that I would put myself in. Where can you go to quarterback the field, get the right codes out? He knows Ben's right behind him, talking to him from that 50 Dorito. When he's comfortable like that, the guy is unreal. As a player, Jackson Rudy is incredibly slept on. He's a dog.
Yeah. Well, also when you're up in the middle of the field and you've got a guy in the 50 on the Dorito side and you've got a guy on their side of the field on the snake side, you're in a pretty good place. Like you can get pretty comfortable there. Right?
I think I would call that a winning condition A+.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's game planned around what we saw their breakout. So statistically speaking, over all of the games that we watched, this is what they were going to do. And if they were going to detour from this, we would still be in a comfortable position to play. Yeah. But ultimately, the first breakout, I was like, they're changing nothing.
Right.
Which I'm body totally language, shocked about.
Listen, I don't really know them well enough to understand, like, do they have a full-time coach or anything like that? Do. But they have some really strong attackers. Yes. They just choose to attack far too late into their matches. That for whatever reason, their identity is they want to cross their guns and get comfortable in their bunkers. If you look at their body language, they like tucking as tight into the bunker as possible, which means, okay, cool. Watch that zone. I know where all the dead spots are, and we're gonna take advantage of you through those spots.
Which is so, Stevie, is so shocking because 2 years ago when we were in semi-pro, when I was there with Notorious, they were fast. Like we would literally have games with them that would go like 9-10 points because of the tempo. I mean, they were just constantly pressing. And they had some guys that I was like, damn, like if that guy, he's dangerous. Like if he gets into that space quickly, and they'd come at us like from multiple different places. They were really creative off the box. Like they were really dangerous. When I watched this match earlier to prepare for the show, I was shocked. Like they don't really attack the snake. They wait till way later before they really start to attack the Dorito side. They never sent anybody to meet your guy in the middle of the field. It was a little bit shocking. You know, again, I haven't seen them play a bunch of matches this year. We did have them have their coach on, and was that the first event, or I think it was the first event they lost the finals match to leverage, but it was pretty bang bang. Like their tempo was pretty good.
Played leverage well in that match. This entire event, this is how they played. And I'm a huge advocate of not changing your strategy just for the sake of like, oh, well, we did this all event. Like that's what got them to that point. So they probably felt really comfortable about it. But if you look at their match, if you look at their match scores, they were just surviving teams. We were there to blow teams off the field, right? Like it was just.
Well, yeah, I know that makes sense, but I'm looking at it and like their first one, if they played that way, the first two teams gave them exactly what they wanted. They won 5-1, then they won 6-1. So they had a good, comfortable margin going into the next day, which you can see it went a little bit slower. They won 4-2 and then 2-0. And then in the quarters, 3-2. And then a 4-2 against the Kansas City, Missouri All-Stars in the semifinals. So I think and I'm kind of with you, Ryan. I'm looking at their roster. They had Nick Campbell. They had a lot of speed.
Brothers are
they had the brothers are really good.
Yep, I'm looking at them.
Which we watch play in Europe, and they are ballistic.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Europe.
You know, I don't know that they played a team that had the same philosophy on the layout that we did. A lot of teams, like even Leverage, I felt like played a very similar style where they wanted to slow the game down from that large 30 Dorito. And we specifically saw that side of the field as like, this is going to get forgotten because the shots from the interior of the 50 aren't the greatest. You have to have I'm like, okay, but one of the players on the team, Steven Reyes, Splitty, as we affectionately call him, he pulled me aside and he was like, Coach, like, you're not putting the same energy on the D side that you're putting on the Snake side. Like you're on our butts, Coach. You're on our butts about how fast we're getting into the Snake and how fast we're getting down the field, but I'm not hearing that same energy for the Dorito side. This was Friday afternoon. I said, you're right. So we had a team meeting and we fixed it right away. We did this drill by ourselves the Friday before, or the Friday of layout weekend, where we set it up on that side of the field to take space with someone in front of you. The entire intention of the drill was, okay, cool. They're in the 30. I don't care. Get to the 50.
Right.
And we did that and they hated it and they were bitching and complaining. And then it was like we started playing and magically we were the only team that utilized that side of the field the way that we did. Lo and behold, sometimes, crazy coach with the drills, but that's something that Marcelo teaches us how to do. It's like a basic red zone drill. But again, you have to be able to take space with pressure. Right. One gun is 0 and 2 guns is 1. So figure it out.
That's exactly right. Some of the things we try to do with the Canes, very similar, is we try to understand what's going to be the most common gunfight and where's it going to happen and how can we win it and cheat. What I mean by that is how can I bully the gun, right? Yeah. I don't want to engage you one-on-one. How am I going to bully you? How am I going to sit there, engage you in this gunfight? And then I'm going to smoke your hopper with this guy over here. Right. So yeah, it's beautiful how you're breaking that down. I love it. Let's keep going. That was well executed. Yeah, that was an excellent executed game plan. And I love it when a plan comes together.
So we're looking at this, and I'm going to pull Alex Barker back into the center, but we're sending Jacko up the same way. When Colton's gun is hot, we're putting him in whatever spot to shoot that we need. Oh. We shot their snake runner off the break there. We were going crazy in the pits because it was very obvious he had a hit on him. So they did the minor there. We're now in a wrecking crew. We're up 2 bodies. Jacko's just going to slow the game down. You can see he starts hunting. What he just did was he made sure the number 5 Aiden was on what we call a September, which is snake side's clear. So he's holding whatever gap that guy's in. And Jacko then can freely move around. So we're just trying to drown them at this point. It's 5-on-3. We're up. We're not holding. That's a very different thing. We're still attacking, but we're doing it together in the way that we're not going to lose one body or 2 guys through the same gap. So the boys just start attacking together here. We're going to smother them. I think we're going to kill number 3 right now. Yep. And that's from number 1, Ben, or maybe Jacko in the center. They blow the buzzer, 2-0.
Smart concession too, honestly.
I would have done it sooner if I was them, to be honest.
No. Well, you always think, hey, I'm going to give that team 30, 40 seconds to win a gunfight. right?
Body language.
But like
the guys weren't even picking gunfights. They were
no,
pushing
absolutely.
into their bunkers to survive. But they probably can't see that on their end of the field.
You're right. But that's exactly, you're absolutely right. Right. If I'm always like we were talking about, or if Drew Bell, Stuart Ridgel, Daniel Camp, Aaron Pate, if they're out there and it's a 5-on-3 and I see their body language and their body language is they're looking, they're good, they're trying to make something. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to buzz it.
You might even give them a couple minutes in a 2, right?
Yeah.
Like if you got Stewart or even Daniel Camp and Drew, you might give them a 2-on-5 for a second.
I do. And you've seen me do it. You've seen me. Everyone's like, buzz it. I'm like, no, it's Drew Bell and Stu. I'm not doing anything. And then Drew runs down and shoots 3 people, So yeah, but to your point, if their body language is like this and okay, bap. Here we go.
Yeah, you got to be able to see the bigger picture. And like, we're all paintball players, right? So like when you're coaching, I don't know, maybe this is where I found success in coaching. When I'm watching the game, I'm not watching the game as a fan. I'm looking for the next opportunity to take advantage of the other team. Sometimes I'll ask my guys in the pits, hey, watch our guys. Tell me what happens. I'm watching them. I'm going to see, the guy going to the can has changed where he's looking. Now we're going to splash the middle. We're going to take this spot on the field, right? As a result of like what they're doing, you got to look for those intricacies in the changing of their breakouts.
100%.
So
this next
I never
point,
watch our guys. I never watch my guys. Like I don't. That's why when they come off the field, I'm like, "How'd you die?" I have to.
Yeah, I know the play.
I don't know.
Exactly. I don't need to watch. Like if I'm standing there watching the play, I'm just like patting myself on the back.
It depends on who we're playing. It will determine
there's some of that too
on who I'm watching. There's certain things I will.
Yeah.
No, I need to watch.
If I give a guy a very unique job, and I need to watch if they execute the job properly, that can be where like our assistant coach that we have now, Colton's dad, I'll be like, hey, can you watch their breakout? I need to watch if Seth's going to do this up and over route properly. Because when he comes in the pits, he's like, I shot off the break. And I'm like, well, you ran the wrong route. Right. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
So like, that's where I'll shift it a little bit. But this third point here, I think mentally I'm like, they're going to match us in the snake. We're beating them over there right now. So our game plan is built around that happening.
Well, you just shot the guy off the break who also got a penalty, right?
Yeah.
So like as a coach, it's like, do you think they risk it again? Or do you think they pull back?
I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, that guy's like, I'm going again because they're not going to let us go up 3-0. But at the same time, I'm like, Jacko, be ready for him to push the objective on the other side of the field. So Ian's going to go to the corner, which is our safe play on this. We felt like the corner was incredibly high to make. I didn't see the camera was on both of us here, but yeah. So again, they didn't take ground until right now. So they didn't even go wide. Jacko set up, Ben set up. We're in the smother right now. Once we get into that brick and that wedge next to each other, it's just about drowning teams at that point.
And I thought Ben's release here was smart.
Yeah.
I like
it.
Yeah.
And you know what? He got that info from Jacko right next to him. He takes out that threat. He knows that, we can work from there. And we're going to see what happens. So they're smart too, in the same way that they're like, you know what? We got to get some offense going. He goes and gets into the 30. Jacko might get a penalty on this point, but it's a 34. We're in the snake. Ian finally filled in. Colton's trying to push up the field. Yeah, Colton's trying to die here. I think they're going to score their first point, and then we adjust.
You're in excellent spots to kill the clock.
Yeah, this is a tough one because I think when Colton came in the pits, I may have made a mistake. I told him, I'm like, you just saw Ben die out of there. You saw Alex die out of there. And then you went up and you died out of there as well. He trades with the guy, which is good. But I think rather than have him die out of that spot, I'd rather him apply pressure on the inside of that bunker and just stay alive. Maybe talk to Jacko, like, hey, Jacko, watch my back. Something like that. I was
just going to say turn Jacko.
But again, woulda, coulda, shoulda, because our philosophy is to push the objective. and I'm telling these guys, get down the field. So in his mind, he's like, Steve, you keep telling me to go. I'm like, that's fine. I'll meet you halfway there. Ultimately, though, like, could we have played this situation better? Definitely.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that you're pushing the guys. The simple fact is, hey, win fast, lose fast, right? So
yeah, and Jacko makes a retreat here that I didn't love either. I think if he just stays where he is, like that guy in the 30 Dorito is going to have to make a move. He's the champion for them. This is a funny moment too. They even walk right past Ian and the snake. But as far as field awareness goes, man, if it goes that long, I'm like, Ian, what, you just didn't think to pop up and look around at all? He could have caught them just standing at the box. So this is
I mean, he's like, gonna
what
die.
do I do here?
Yeah, maybe it's 5 seconds, right? That he comes up, he shoots the guy out who's standing back there, but then the guy just shoots him in the side, right? Like,
well, they're both standing at the box. If he looks over his shoulder. Oh no. The third guy, I thought he traded with Colton. Maybe there is a third guy. Maybe I missed it.
No, there's
we were
another
laughing.
guy.
We're looking at them. We're like, what is happening right now? He walked right by Ian.
Yeah, the third guy is standing over by the pit. He
That
walked
makes
right
sense.
over and stood in the corner of the field. Yeah.
And then he broke a rule here. Mid-game, we don't engage with the other team. We don't shake hands.
Yeah.
We don't talk to you. Like, we have nothing to do. I know some people don't like that. That's me. That's like our team principle. After the match, we'll hug, we'll shake hands. But during the match, we are competitors, and we show you like no mercy. We're here to win. And I think it's a sign of, like, when you're high-fiving people when you walk by them, like, I have no mercy for you. Like, I'm here to crush you. I'll talk to you afterwards.
Yeah.
But that's just our philosophy.
Yeah.
I mean, I
get
think
that one though. Kind of get that
depends
one
on
though.
who you are as a player, right?
Yeah.
Like, some players really need that, right? They need that intensity. They need to have that kind of feeling about their opponent. Others don't. Like, they can play at a really high level without that. Yep. I was never that guy who needed to, like, I didn't do I'd stand with my hand on somebody's shoulder when they were doing the huddle rah, rah, rah thing, because I don't like that. I don't need to be angsty. I want to go in clear-headed, focused on my job. I don't need to be angry. I don't need to have all that adrenaline. That comes naturally. As soon as the buzzer goes off, like, my adrenaline's there already. You know, I didn't need the additional, stuff to potentially make me make a bad decision.
Yeah.
So
the philosophy I always
stayed pretty calm.
Yeah, and I had a very similar philosophy, Ryan, in the fact that, and it's similar to Stevie's in the fact that, listen, my guys will always be honorable and they'll all be respectful. But the last 10 years, I've been preaching this. It's 5 more female pooches with paintball guns. They're meat. They don't have a personality. I don't care. The only thing I care about is you doing your job and eating the meat.
Yeah. And it's 100% like not a disrespectful thing. It's not like talk shit to people on the field. No. We don't talk to the other team at all. Like, that's just not.
Stay focused.
It's just 100%. Right. Because like, you walk by a guy, you high five a guy or whatever. Like, I need you to put it on that guy when the time comes. Like, that's not your friend. That's your friend after the match. That's your boy or whatever. During the game, I want to see you laser focused. If you get shot, I want you running off the field so that we have more time in the pits. Like, not high fiving some dude that just shot you or whatever. Oh, good shot. Where were you? And then, like, you off the cuff just be like, oh yeah, blah blah. Like, it happens, and that's just not going to happen to us.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't like. I do. Again, it's not like when I walk by people, I'm slapping them on the ass. All right, like, we're not there. We can talk about that later, but like, I just didn't need to. I didn't need the additional stuff to be focused. Right.
I get it.
My mentality was always like, I hate you when we're on the field. Like, I don't want to be your friend when we're doing what we're doing. But like, if somebody put their hand up, I'm not the person who's I'll give them the slap, but we're not going to talk. We're not going to
walk right by you. You put your hand up, I walk right by. People make comments all the time, and I don't care. I think of it like this, like flow state. Everybody gets in the zone differently. Some guys like to put their headphones in. Some guys need to be in that huddle. That's what unlocks that for them. So for me, it's like giving each person the space that they need to become the killer that I need them to be. And then
but to me, it's almost like you're still by making the decision not to do it, it's the same amount of brain power or even more potentially than it is just to put your hand up and give them the slap and move on.
Yeah, get it over with.
It takes you,
that's
it
a
takes
fair
you away
that's
from
a fair perspective.
You know what I mean? Like you're having to think about, I'm not going to slap that guy's hand versus literally just pick and then you keep moving, right? Like again, and it's not about being respectful or disrespectful or any of those kind of things. To me, it's just I don't want to. Between when I start walking until I get to where I'm going, whether it's to go into the pit and talk to the coach or whether it was to grab the player who was playing next to me and talk about what happened, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about whether or not I'm going to slap the person's hand. I'm just thinking about, I got to get back in the pit. I got to tell the coach this, or I got to talk to the player and tell them this. That's it. You know what I mean? And I don't want anything to distract me from that process. Right. And so like, if I have to think about this guy putting his hand up and I'm not going to slap it intentionally, now I'm thinking about something else. It's just in the way. It's just a barrier.
I'll compromise for both of you. All right. When the guy puts his hand up, slap his hand, Stevie, and call him a pooch. And then move on, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. That would get you in trouble around here. We would not do that. But yeah, I mean, I see it 100% both ways. I would hope that for us, it's ingrained in our mentality now that they don't even think about it. Like we just ignore the other team. Nothing that they say or do. It's just about what they're doing once the buzzer goes off. That's all that matters to us.
Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not saying one way's right, one way's wrong.
Everyone has their process.
Yeah, it's just the way we all are different and need different energy. And but I also don't ever want to be. I don't want to poke the bear. Like if I'm beating a team and I don't slap someone's hand, I don't need to give them any energy to come back out on fire. Like I want them to come back whipped. I want to see him on the box, walking out to the box, shoulders forward, chin down, chest deflated. If I don't high five a guy and he goes back into the pit and riles everybody up and now they walk out with a bunch of swagger, I got a different problem on my hands.
That's a good perspective. And that's why everybody's got their unique approach to it, because you're not wrong.
Yeah. I thought everyone just spawned at the box.
I just read that one too and I laughed. I just thought it was funny. All right. Let's keep going. This has been great.
All right, point forward. So again, like you guys, I think you're the last point, you didn't shoot anybody off the break, but you're +4 after 4 points, right? So you're +4, down none, right? So you're off the break is perfect. One for each point thus far.
I think we may shoot the Dorito side guy here.
I think you shoot the Dorito side can.
Yeah, that guy trying to go in, Alex Barker, might come over the top. Yep. Mm-hmm. And again, that's just intentionally picking on interior guys. Like we talked about it on Friday, we shoot those interior shots for hours because, again, when it comes to the buzzer, we time the buzzer. We count every beep. Some teams will think that we're nerds for doing that. I laugh all the way to the trophy case, right? Like counting the buzzer is an incredible advantage. If you know how to time the buzzer and everybody is in sync and your gun is up a half a second before the other guy and you shoot those interior guys out, I think our track record speaks for itself when it comes to how important timing the buzzer is. That's some free game that I'll put everybody on. You're still not going to do it because you still think it's stupid or whatever, but you're missing out. Huge competitive advantage.
No, it's a great point. It's almost every pro is doing that. And number two, those interior shots were key. They were higher probability. That can on day one was an 80% probability. That Aztec was a 40. But then as you saw, as things kind of progressed, they started to even out a little bit. And that can came down to about 60 because people weren't going in gun up. Or you were letting the home player get away with a tippy toe shot over the top to really shoot the can. Or, you weren't putting any pressure there, or that Aztec, like you said, it kind of jumped up a little bit when people got a little comfortable going. So
on this layout, it was much more difficult to shoot the outside guys than it was the inside guys.
100%.
You could drop them into the snake on on the Lone Wolf field. One of the two sides had a good shot, so we would pull the guy back there. And then on this field, the far side, it was so hard to shoot the snake runner from the blue side of the field. I don't know if they're both blue in this, but this side of the field, it was harder to shoot the snake runner.
No, and you're absolutely right.
On the red side, it was like the gap was massive. So it was like, okay, well, we're going to do this. And then even on the red side from the Dorito side can on the inside, you could stop them if they were going to go into the God bunker. We call that the Cobra. But I'll tell you exactly what went through my head this point. When they went to that Cobra, that God bunker, and he looked inside, I said, we're going to smoke. We're done. Like, these guys are done. Let's just go right back to pushing the objective. And they weren't playing to win. I mean, they're a great team. Like, in no way, shape, or form am I talking down on them in any capacity. This game plan was just not cohesive to the layout, and we took advantage of the opportunities that we were given.
Yeah. You guys played the right tempo.
You did. Sure. The tempo is everything, because anytime you go to that God bunker and look on the cross, you're looking to stall. That's it. That's all you're doing.
100%. And you know what? You're going to see us actually do that, but we do it when the points and the time accommodate it.
Are conducive.
I'm not doing it down 2 points, right? Like, your lead attacker goes to a lead attacker position and looks inside for what? The guy behind him has his gun down. They're not even talking about his gun. I'm standing right there in the pits. They're not even having like a very cohesive conversation about what's happening. Hey, they're going to be coming down the field. I'm your 2. I'm the guy that's supposed to stop them from coming in this direction, and I don't have a gun.
Right. That's right.
It would never even happen. So, again, free game.
Yeah.
Another thing, too, is like as many opportunities as I could to have 4 or 5 guns up, we would take it. They finally tried to match us in the middle here, but they got clapped going out to the snake side again.
Yep.
This guy's going to come through the middle, but unfortunately for him, we have our guy in the Cobra God looking for that exact move, because at some point they're going to have to make a decision. We got a minor here on Jack. Poor Jacko. Those hopper hits, they suck. But if you look, we lose 2 guys on that side, but we still attack.
When you shot 2 off the break.
You shot 2 off the break, and you have the snake completely to yourself. So, yeah, and I love this. Look at this. He's not even stopping. He knows the situation. I'm going to go all the way, and I'm going to shoot everybody in the side.
So there's a code for that. He reacted to it perfectly. That's Stephen Reyes I was talking about. Splitty. He's a dog. And if you look, right, we've played 4 points. He was fresh. That was his first point, and he made 100% of that opportunity count. He went out there. He played a crucial role in cutting down that middle. We got a penalty. As soon as that penalty goes off, he knows in his head, oh, it's casino time. I need to attack, right? We're up points. I'm not going to stop the game from here. He had them trapped in the middle. He immediately went to work. I know Rob's yelling at me. I'm giving.
He's mad at you. He's mad at you.
Rob, listen, they still have to do the work, Rob. They need to do the work.
Yeah. We give it all away for free here.
I've been saying it till I'm blue in the face. If you listen to Play the Game podcast, right, that's my mentor, Marcelo, and Tyler as well. So, like, again, the game is out there. And I'm just talking about the game that already happened, Rob. I'm not telling them what we're doing next.
Yeah, Rob, the info is free. The work cost
is not. Yeah, the work costs blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. They, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm in the pits, and it's coming. This information is coming from me. So unless, Rob, they make me an offer I can't refuse, then you have nothing to worry about, and I'm not going anywhere. So,
yeah.
You do have to have codes for everything, Chris. I see the text now. I changed 100%. Over. You have codes for every situation, right? Number one, you have codes for every gap, and you have to go into these layout weekends with all of this already prepared, and you win the event at practice, in my opinion.
Of course.
No, I think that's the majority of good coaches' opinion. I've been saying it for years that you win the event at practice, right? Preparation.
All right, let's go. 0.6.
So 4-1. We're still going to continue to push the objective, but we're going to anchor a little bit. So I think that you're going to see us pull up to the Cobra again. the Cobra God. We'll look for that early inside move, but then I think we're going to send Aiden on a quicker route into the snake to try and punish them again. So we'll see what happens.
So 3-point spread, and there is 3:30 on the clock. Yeah, I would be comfortable with the call. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
again, shot another guy off the break.
That's Jacko on his run and gun up there. I mean, he had an incredible finals. And then him looking inside from this brick, this was a happy accident that we found with damage. And it just became one of those things that, like, we're going to keep this in our pocket. We kind of abandoned this in the prelims intentionally. It was like, hey, I know you can do this. We're going to save it for when it matters the most. So our scouting report, probably most people didn't even see that specific play coming. Most of the time we were playing like a true back 5 bunkers and then exploding through the snake. So we put this guy up in this position. He's going to try and release up the middle. And the way that we're set up, we shot that first attacker off. They have to come into our guns with 2 minutes. It's just, now it's our turn to play cross. Jacko's just shooting everybody trying to come through. Ben's up there in the 50 doing the same thing. When you have that brick and that Dorito side 50 working cohesively together, dude, night.
I agree on that as well. I assume that point
run it in
was conceded.
Yeah, they blew the buzzer. So now it's 5-1. I believe I'm going to make like a player adjustment here, and I'm going to send out some guys to make sure that they get some spins, and they're going to put up another one on us. He runs out of bounds. I'm pretty confident of that, but Jason refused to hear me out. He said, look at the scoreboard, leave me alone. I said, I don't think that's a good enough response, but here we are.
So with this next play call, were we going aggressive? Were we going with what was working, or did we try? Was it just personnel thing that caused the issue, or did we try to go defensive?
I went a little bit against my normal philosophy. I was like, let me get some guys in that hadn't gotten a spin at this point in the finals. I felt really comfortable about the position that we were in. Absolutely. And as a result, I went a little bit safer than I normally would have gone, and we lose the point. So that's a direct statement to me, abandoning my philosophy to get more playing time for people as opposed to just winning. But it was 5-1. In the moment, I felt pretty good about getting my guys more spins.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, I don't, especially if you've got a couple of guys on your roster that haven't maybe played on the finals field, like you're up 5-1. Get those guys a little shine. Give them, don't you don't ever want to see guys at the end, especially when you're in such control of the match. Yeah, that like are completely clean. You know what I mean? It's like, you want them to go get that first place medal and trophy and be a little dirty, like look like they put in some work that day.
Yeah. And luckily for us, like the 11 guys on our roster could be starters on every other roster in the league, right? Sure. Most of them could be contributing pro players at this point in time. And we played everybody up until the finals match. This is actually the least amount of players that you'll see on the field for us in any of our matches, just because, like I said, like, nail in the coffin. We wanted it more. We were dialed in. And so I think I got a couple of guys coming in now. We're just looking to get some spins in. They did a good point on us. We shot one guy off the break.
Shot a guy off the break.
And great job for Tommy on that one. Tommy Guns coming in, getting that point. But we made like a mental mistake here. I should have had him in the can looking for that middle move. Mm-hmm. But I was more worried about them coming around the 50 Dorito, which is he's doing right now. But the fact that they sent 2 bodies up the middle, they actually caught me with this one. I said, Tommy, whatever you do, don't let him come around that 50 wedge. That's your job. I should have just put Jacko on that in the brick and had Tommy looking up the middle. He would have shot that guy, and then Jacko could have jackpotted the other guy in the middle. So this is just a good play call by them and a bad play call by me. And Colton even almost pulls it out.
Yeah, and this is the tempo I thought they would play a little more.
Yeah, and then that's where he runs out of bounds. He very clearly ran out of bounds. I'm standing on the back line. But like I said, Jason gave me no time of day.
Yeah, and the ref was giving you the nah, we're good. We're gonna go ahead and call him clean. So
I looked at it from the perspective of like, I just want to see fair reffing regardless, right? Because if it's whether it's 5-1 and he runs out of bounds or not, and someone tells me like, look at this score, like, what do you care? Well, I want to know that when it matters the most, that they're ready to make the right call.
Right.
Whether it's 5-1 or 1-1. That could be a major moment in someone's, paintball journey. And that matters.
Score shouldn't weigh into that.
Yeah, and I'm not being critical. Like, again, I have nothing but the utmost respect for the lead and the refs, and we say please and thank you. Yes, sir. All of that. But like, if I come to you and I'm asking for a review, like, don't disregard me just because of the score.
And also there's a psychological perspective. And I actually had this conversation with Jason Trozen. There's a psychological perspective where your guys need to see you fighting for them. They need to see you going, hey, I'm going to walk up to the big dog, right? I know the big dog's got the bite. I don't care. My guys have to see no fear, just like I expect to see it.
100%. Mike, that's an excellent point. Funny enough, I do that most with our owner, Rob. I'm the one that fights Rob whenever he's giving us a hard time. And I know that the guys, like Rob walks away, he's all angry or whatever. We're yelling back and forth, all lighthearted. We're never really fighting, but he'll walk away. I'll turn around to them. I give him like a little wink and a thumbs up. And they'll be like, yeah. Because I'm like, I got your back. Like, I'm fighting stupid fights for no reason. But just because I want you to know I love you and I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
And that was kind of that moment. 100%. It would have been great if he was like, hey, like, that's not a reviewable play or something. But just kind of like the vibe that I got from him was like, semi-pro isn't important enough for us to do this right now. And I was just like, oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't really think that's probably what he was saying. It was more like, hey, it probably really was like, leave me alone. You're winning 5-1, right? Like, which I get it, right? That's not a good, you don't ever, especially as a customer, you don't want to feel the way that made you feel. And that's
maybe he didn't mean it at all, but maybe in this moment, someone will say something to him and he'll have a moment where he's like, you know what? My perception could be a little better there. Even if he was just like, hey man, you guys are up 5-1. Like, my guy's not set up for it. They're on break. I don't know. You could have given me any answer other than just like blowing me off.
Well, yeah,
I don't treat people that way. So I guess, yeah.
You're up 5-1. It's a minute 39 left on the clock. You've got this one in the bag. Are you really going to make me go review this right now on something like that? And that could have very well been the situation. And we can't, I'm not going to pretend like I know what's in Jason's head at all. But at the same time, I do agree with you in the fact that, and I think someone put it in a matter of fact, Dan, details matter, right? We want to be 100%. Consistent, and these things are important, right? But anyway, to your point though, I get it. I probably would have once he told me to kick rocks, I'd been like, Roger that, moving on. So
and that's exactly what I did. Task at hand. We were in X ball at this point, so I had bigger fish to fry. You know what I mean?
Right. There it is. That's exactly right. You give it that 3-second try, and then I've got to go win the rest of this event. So.
And I've beaten up on the refs so much the last month. I'm going to try to
they screwed
be a little nicer. Nah, that
was a pretty awful penalty at the last second there.
Things happen, and Stevie, I'm trying to get over it. So what you're doing right now is not really helping
apologies.
that.
Please stop, Stevie. Please stop.
I'm trying to be nicer to those guys in the striped shirts. I know they're working really
100%.
hard.
Stop it, Stevie.
They're going to try to get better, and they're going to hopefully listen to some.
Anyone know any good jokes? Anyone know any good jokes right now? So. That's exactly right, Matt Storm. Integrity. Good word.
Yeah. Again, like when the bunkers are so close together and things are happening so fast, they're making these really split decisions, and sometimes they're wrong. Right. And if we're going to use this, go watch the video, then we need to have more cameras and those kind of things. But the reality is, like, I just want them to take a breath and make the right call. That's it. Take a breath, make sure you know what you saw, make the right call. Like Jason at one point after that penalty literally said, hey, both the refs standing over there told me the same thing. And I was like, okay, cool. Which one of them was watching the runner? Which one was watching the runner? And he goes, oh, no. They were both watching. And I was like, yeah, See, you don't even have to finish the statement, and I already know what's going to happen here. Neither one of them were watching the guy running. Neither one. So nobody can answer the question, who shot who first. So why was there a penalty?
Yeah, and we actually had a similar situation on the semi-pro field that we had like video evidence, and you can't use outside video. It has to be NXL official. Yeah. There was no live stream, so that wasn't our intention. Right. But after the whole day was over, we talked to the head ref. We said, "Hey, take a look at this." He was like, "Okay, we didn't have none of the refs were looking at their guy. They were looking at our guy." So it's like it's just a miscommunication. Then both refs said the same thing, but they were both looking at the wrong person. So we ended up getting a major in a situation that, we had video evidence that it was wrong. But if I yell and scream at the refs, they're just going to remember me for yelling and screaming at them. Hey, sir, do you have a minute? I'd love to show you something. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But you have to earn that with respect. And we're very respectful to refs.
I yell and scream.
I'm not there yet.
I yell and scream at them. I'm going to continue, until they get better, I'm going to continue to yell and scream at them.
See? And this is where we exist in different spaces.
Yeah.
And on the pro field, it's life and death. It's different. I would hope that referees don't hold personal grudges, but as a human being, I understand biases, and I'm not going to let our guys be in a position to have any bias against them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, really, I just yell at two of them. It's Jason and Ahab. I don't yell at the other guys. I yell at the two guys that can make the decision. That's it. But like Ahau and I, we hug. We're friends. Like, we're fine. He's like the other team. I'm playing two teams every time I play. I'm playing the guys on the other side of the field, and I'm playing those guys in the striped shirts. Right. So like, he just happens to be the coach of the team in the striped shirts. So, okay, moving on. 0.8.
Yeah. 0.8. So it's 5-2.
This could be the final point. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So we go right back to our main setup here. We shoot the same guy that we were pitching on the whole event, getting him off the field. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that second guy was on a delay, I think. But
yeah, he was a second engagement. So
you shot the guy. You shot the Jacko snake out shot him too. Yeah.
Oh, well, I thought he shot him on the fill-in, but yeah, Jacko right there set up on that spot. That's an MVP performance right there.
Could have been him. Yeah.
It definitely seems like he's the meat grinder, right? But
yeah, I don't know if maybe just the way that we were playing, they hadn't seen that yet, so they had no answer for it.
Well, I mean, I don't think you've had a point where Jacko wasn't at that brick.
No, he got a minor at one point. We still won that point.
I know. There was no adaptation to him.
But again,
am I wrong, Ryan? I just feel
no. That's what I said kind of before we started. I was just shocked that they never sent a body or two into the middle of the field to contend with him. Yeah, and then they did it the one play. They ran two guys up the middle and then got their edges going. Mm-hmm. I felt like they could have done that way earlier with one guy.
Right.
Just go take your middle guy and then get your edges going.
Instead, and there's three different ways you could have done it. There's three different ways you could have done it too.
Totally. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and to not shoot there was a clear bounce shot into there that
right off the pin. And I asked him, "Are they shooting the bounce?" He said, "No." I said, "Okay, well then stay there."
And he got to play the back of it, basically.
If you're counting the bounce, there's 4 different ways to do it.
Yeah.
They could have done any number of things, but this is where when we do things, we don't just do things for us. Okay, cool. So we have a game plan. How would we beat ourselves?
Right.
This is how we feel like we're going to win. How do we beat ourselves? Well, if I put myself in their coach's shoes, he's probably watching them lose the breakouts, and that's where his priority is. He's panicking about that. So he's not even analyzing the second layer to say, cool, not only are we losing the breakouts, but they're strategically cutting off our attack from this one specific spot. Maybe I'm going to play a pocket breakout, more guns up, send a guy up the middle to just go take him off the field immediately. And then at least show me that you're willing to fight. If you're just going to roll over and send the same game plan out there over and over again, I'll just continue to drown you.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. Like if they are like in point 2, they send a guy up, he's able to get to him and bunker him. Now you have to adjust and pull one of your edge guns through the middle of the field, right? Or you pull him back. So either way, it's a win if I'm coaching the other team, right? If I can pull one of your edge guns in to the middle of the field, now I can potentially mess the equation up on one of the edges, right? To be able to be in a 2-on-1 down a wire. Like, I mean, there were lots of ways I felt like they could have altered their game plan. And it seemed, and you're probably right. He was probably thinking, man, I just need to get 5 guys into 5 spots alive, right? Yeah. Instead, they seemed like they just continued to press the edges, which is where they kept getting shot out of.
We were shooting their interior guys more than their like outside. We did shoot the outside guys too. But with a team like that, a team that wants to slow play you, like the newbies, we did the same thing. We just picked on their interior guys. Okay, cool. We're going to take their interior guys off the field, and then we're going to beat you inside out. Because once you're trying to get out wide, when we have that gun set up in the middle and we've got pressure in front of you on both sides, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you put a guy like up at the brick, a guy in the can, and one guy dives out into that mine, you can make it. You can make it, and you can completely avoid even going to the can on the Doritos. Like, there's ways to do it where you can manipulate the guns on the other side of the field to not put yourself in the same spaces you keep getting shot out of.
Or even better, if you wanted to really beat us, when you see us stack the home with the 2 guns and we're bullying those interior spots, that's where don't try and run and gun to the can. Right? Like, if you see that guy lines up inside of the other guy, take the bigger bite. Right? Like, we have box audibles and we have codes for what we like. We can make it what the read is a second off the read. Mm-hmm. And if you're not playing that same way, it's tough.
Yeah. And on the last 2 layouts we've had, that box read that you're talking about, Stevie, was critical.
Real quick, I've kind of been called out. David, it would be a blind spot snake way shooting across. It would be using the center can and then using it as a pivot and punching out to the wedge. You could do a blind from the pocket over on the other side, on the Dorito side, or I could use a run and gunner out and double the gun with a gun in the blind spot as well. There's your 4, and then you could add the 5th if you want to talk about the band shot. So check me on that, anyone. You're more than welcome.
Or you could literally just go up to the brick and
or you
meet
could
the guy.
Well, there's a 6th one. You could meet him. You could also take that line on the outside of it. If they haven't, if their guy gets into those Doritos and he's on the straights and you know that, and they're using him on the inside, you can use that line inside the tower opposite the brick and you can just go take him off. So I'm sorry, there was 6, 7. So
there's probably more.
Yeah,
there's probably more.
But there you go, David. Thanks for calling us out on it, though. Yeah.
We were expecting them to start pulling their interior guys back to the home and using like a heavy guns up to try and gunfight back with us, and they just never did.
Yeah,
that was the other thing I was shocked.
2 of your guys, your guys gave it. Hey, I'm going to sit in the back here and I'm going to have a staggered home, and they never adapted to that.
Yeah, I was shocked.
You guys were on the box 3-4 seconds doing it.
They could have had 3 guys basically around the home in the blind area and shot the guy who's the one guy going out snake way, gone straight to the can and just not let you out on the snake side and bully you down that side. I mean, there were so many ways that I felt like they could have changed their game plan to, at least make it more difficult, right?
Yeah.
At least make it more challenging. It seemed like they really got 2-dimensional. They kind of had 2 plays that they really liked to run, and that was kind of it. And maybe that's because those 2 plays worked really well through the rest of the event.
Yeah, and I think even Leverage had a very similar game plan. So we got to experience that 2 games in a row. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so I think we beat Leverage 5-2. It was a very similar type of match. It was like 2-2, and then we pulled away. But same concept. We shot the interior spots, and then we just smothered them from there. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, the Sea Dogs would have just watched this. They were on split deck with us, but you want to win.
You got to scout attention. Probably.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm watching them play. I'm thinking, all right, they just watched us beat Leverage like this. They're going to have some kind of answer, and nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, good for you. Right?
Good for the boys.
Made your job easier, made the team's job easier. You shoot a guy off the break and they're not going to make adjustments, and then you get to shoot another guy, and sometimes two. I mean, I think you guys were plus 9 in that match off the break. At only 1 point did you not shoot someone. In 2 other points, you shot 2, and then in 1 they got a penalty, which gave you another.
Yeah,
plus 9 in an 8-point game is always
excellent.
a good thing. Yeah,
it's excellent. Yeah, it's
and
excellent.
We get those numbers when we play pro teams as well. So it's not like we're just picking on semi-pro teams. I mean, Ryan alluded to it. Maybe this is an indication of me as a player. My strengths on the field are I'm a quarterback, right? I like to be in positions that I can control the pace of the game, get the information out to the field. But my biggest arsenal in my toolbox, shooting off the break. So as a coach, I put a very high priority on shooting off the break. Project 54. It's way easy to play paintball if you're up bodies. And the easiest spot to be up bodies is on the break.
Now we emphasize that on the Hurricanes a lot, significantly, right? I'd rather play you 5-on-4, 5-on-3 than 5-on-5. And so
I'll sacrifice field position to bully somebody. Like we love to put 2 guns on one guy and just make his life hell.
Yep. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome.
Especially if you shoot a guy off the break, you automatically get to play someone else 2-on-1 immediately. Like
exactly.
It like at the beginning with X Factor, that was always like where we started. Is we're going to shoot this guy off the break and then we're going to bully this guy, right? Like the intention of the game plan in its like most infantile form at the beginning was that, right? Let's get to the edges. We want to be at the edges where we can wrap, but off the break, we're going to shoot this guy and then we're going to pick on this guy, right? Like right away with that edge gun and that edge gun.
Who does the Coach's Show design work? Because you should have a Coach's Show dry fit, and on the back, it should just say intention, intention, intention. Because that's the number one word that I think anybody watching this show, if you care about your paintball career, if you want to win, if you want to continue to progress to the divisions, if you want to be a successful coach, intention. If you filter every single decision that you make as a player, as a coach, as a person in the pits through intention, you will find success. It will start to appear to you, right? Because when you're talking about how to win matches, you have to have intention with the codes and the communication on the field. You have to have intention with the play calling in the pits, right? You don't just call plays willy-nilly, right? I'm doing this because of that. That's intent. If this and that is just another way to say intention.
Yes. So what's the one word that gets us to intention? Because you just had a video where you were talking about it.
Right.
Why?
You beat me to it, Ryan. Dang it.
That's the word that gets us to intention every time, is when we talk about what our game plan is going to be, why we want to shoot something off. It's like if we shoot this guy off the break, now what? Right? Why is it important to shoot that? Where was his gun? Where would his gun be? How do we take advantage of that space? Like, it's always that intention starts with the why, right?
Right, because our intention creates our reality.
Totally.
It's that simple. So I'm sorry.
Up there. Cooking. That was fantastic. That was great. If you've watched our videos, our Wrecking Crew video series, you'll hear me talk about why a lot, right? Like anybody is welcome.
I just said it. I watch all your stuff.
I know anyone's welcome to bring me the why, and I will hear you out 100%. But if you can't answer why, I want to run to the 20. Why? I want to run and gun out there because I think I can pull my gun up and shoot the can on my way to the corner. Okay, let's make it happen, right? That's why you want to do it. And this time, like, now that like I'm starting to be on video a little bit more, I'm trying to be like careful of sounding too prolific. Like, I don't want people to think that I'm farming like social media clips with when I talk. But Ryan, you've been there without the cameras. Like, this is just who I am, right? I care about this so much that it's so deep to me. And before this event, I just we wanted to just have fun. There was a lot of pressure on our shoulders, and I wanted to make sure that the boys were having fun. We were playing hide and go seek, for goodness sake, right? Like, I'm texting my wife as I'm hiding under a desk. I said, "You won't believe me right now, but I'm playing hide and go seek." But we were laughing and we were just having fun and being together Like, I wanted to ask them, like, why are you here? Figure out why you're here. Use that desire, that fire inside of you to drive your success on the field, right? Like, find that why. And we always have a theme for every one of our events, and why was the big theme of this one.
It's awesome.
It's a great theme to have. So I love it.
It's a theme of lots of conversations that Mike and I have with people.
That's right.
Lots of them.
Lots.
We like when we do, and love doing it, but I'm really glad we're done with the 101 clinic, because we've done it so many times that it had gotten a little mundane. But you know, every time we talk, like we're walking fields with new coaches and we're talking about the things that we're looking for, we use that word all the time. It's like, hey, just because you can be here doesn't mean you should. Just because you can go this far doesn't mean that you should. You know, if you get there and you can't be productive, and we're basically pulling your gun away from the game, and now we're really playing 4-on-5. So there's no, just because we can doesn't mean we should. Maybe we need to be here at least until this, or this, right? And now we have a why to go here.
Marcelo has a great saying, like, sometimes you go to a bad spot to do a good job.
Yep.
And that kind of filters into the same thing. Like, you're looking at layouts, you're like, man, this spot stinks. I don't like this spot. But it's like, but you know, you're doing something really valuable from there. So I kind of need you to buy in.
And Ryan will attest to this, back when we used to practice each other, back when Notorious was semi-pro and the Canes had just gone pro. We like to find bunkers that we know no one likes, no one will use, and figure out a way to use it. And
I think about the Russians using the pin to get to the center 50 in Vegas. And I was like, until I saw them do that, I was like, man, am I not creative enough? I never thought about just using the pin as a bunker. And like,
he did it at practice.
No, but he didn't use it just as a lane blocker. They played the pin so much.
He gunfight out of it. He did gunfight out of it occasionally. Yeah, he did.
You know, yes, we use the pin as a lane blocker, right? We used it to its intention, but they broke out of the intention and they were like, well, why do I have to leave? Why do I have to leave? Nobody's shooting at me. Why do I have to go? And they
can still do what I need to do here
in many aspects of their game. And it makes me think to myself, like, well, why do I have to do that? Because it's the right thing to do, or because it makes the most sense? Right. Play a pin. I don't care. If it works, it works.
If it works, it works.
He's the man. Like watching Kirill do stuff. I'm like
I agree.
He's a magician.
I agree.
He goes into space sometimes, and I'm like, you shouldn't be able to live there.
That's like Rainey. Oh my god, I've never seen anybody play the dead space like I see Rainey play it. And like, just, you know, our what's the like gravitational pull around damage, right? Like, we're like pulling in all that information, and I'm like, man, like, these guys are just, there's a reason why some people are legends, right? And
totally,
it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Stevie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. We're obviously super excited for you and your group. We love good stories. If you guys are able to win the pro spot, it will be a fantastic story. By the way, even if you just go win World Cup, considering how you came into the season, where you guys started to where you'll end, you know, I say this all the time, like, it's always my intention as a coach to have my group playing their best paintball going into World Cup, because it's so important to win one of those, especially as you climb the ranks. It gets more and more challenging, obviously, as you go up. We're rooting for you guys. We've been talking about you since the off season. Thank you also for continuously giving us stuff to talk about, because the story's good. The new content you guys are putting out is fantastic. There's people in the chat talking about being inspired, you know, by some of your guys' stuff. So it's fantastic. I'm inspired by it. When I watch it, I'm like, yeah, man, this is another guy who gets it. You know, you totally get it, and you're doing an amazing job as a player coach. That's a terribly challenging role that you're making look really easy. So you're doing a lot of the right things.
Thank you so much. Number one. But yeah, like, so we won the World Cup last year. It was unbelievable. I want to go back in. I want to win it again. And that's all that we care about, is just going to the next event, winning the next event. Just like everybody says, man, job's not done.
Job's not done.
Right. Well, and that's why I say as you climb the ranks, it gets more and more difficult, right? Like winning a Division II World Cup is awesome. Winning a semi-pro World Cup, I promise you, tastes a little better, right? And then you get up into the next place. If you can win a pro World Cup, you'll do something that, only about 6 teams have done, or 4 teams have done in the last 10 years have won a World Cup. So
I'd be happy with an event in pro. The
World
Cup would be
on your way.
Yeah. So
stupid dynasty.
Anybody you want to shout out before we let you off here?
Shout out to everybody on Wrecking Crew, all my boys buzzing on the field, our pit staff who travels with us to events, our owner, Rob, the parents, every piece of support all feeds into the bigger picture, right? Whether you're in the pits or someone's family, like you're part of the team. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Seriously. If you're in our pit crew, we win an event, you're leaving with a gold medal because you won that event as well. And I hope that more people learn to share that philosophy and treat their pit crew better, because a good pit crew is instrumental in winning. Shout out to my beautiful, lovely, amazing wife who holds me down through all of this nonsense, lets me travel all over the country and shoot nickels at my friends. I know, right? Crazy world that we live in. And last but not least, thank you to Marcelo for being like the best mentor in the world. Even if he's constantly hard on me, it only makes me better.
There it is.
I don't think he likes me, Dad, still to this point. All right. I still, he makes it, but it's an important part of the product. He's constantly got me on my toes. I'm like, does this guy even like me? But yeah, shout out to him.
He loves you. That's why he's hard.
That's why he does it.
I know. But I have to give him a hard time. And thank you to you guys for giving me a platform to talk about this. I love paintball so much. It's like my entire life. And to feel like I have an opportunity to chisel away at something to remember me by, that's huge. And I look forward to becoming your competitor soon.
Yeah, man.
I like
us
that.
too.
I like that. Us too.
Job's not done.
Not
Job's
done.
never
Is
done.
it ever? Yeah, that's what I'm
never
saying. Is it ever? It doesn't seem like it's ever done. But again,
That's why
thank you
it's
so
a great
much.
slogan.
Thank you so much for taking the time, dude. We really appreciate you. And again, good luck. Congratulations on your last win. But now you got to sweep that one back and move on to the next.
That's right.
100%.
Go get it
All
done,
right, boys.
Stevie.
Thank you so much for having me. Shout out Flow Paintball at Flow Paintball on Instagram. Cerebral. We're in there.
Love it.
Thanks, buddy.
Good stuff.
Bye,
Good
guys.
stuff. Bye.
Man,
Oh, man.
he's so fun.
He is. And it's I enjoy engaging in conversation with people who are not only that passionate, but that intellectual about the game. Because you and I have been talking about this for a long time now, and that is the game has become academic, and it's a lot more cerebral than people give it credit for, especially from the coaching perspective. It's just the coaching in professional paintball, in paintball in general, it's in its infant phase. It's still in that infant, and he's going to be one of those guys that's blazing the trail. So, it's good.
Yeah, man. And I love that he does give Marcelo so much credit, because there's a lot of things he says that I'm like, yeah, that's a regurgitation, but he also like his ideas too. He's a very thoughtful guy. He's one of those guys that when you watch him play the game, you can see very quickly that he's not just physically going through the motions. He's mentally involved in what's happening.
100%.
Yep. Yeah. He's one of those players that you're like, okay, you get it. Right. You get it. And it's awesome too, that he's in a position where he can help to guide those young men, and continue to do battle, right. That he can go into war with them and then, also step out of that, and be take on a leadership role like he's doing it. And again, I wasn't kidding about, we all know that being a player coach usually doesn't work.
Right.
And it's so difficult to do. And he's doing it gracefully and making it look pretty darn easy.
He does. That's true. That's very true. And just a quick shout out to Marcelo once again. I got to coach the U16 guys over in France, and
yeah, man,
and he had those guys firing in all cylinders. So it made my job real easy. As a matter of fact, this Thursday, I think, is the part 2 of the Z-Log and you get to see a little behind the scenes there, and you'll see a lot more paintball and a lot more coaching.
Are we going to see a hospital visit?
That's in part 3.
Okay. All right.
But
well,
I had to delete some of that. I got in trouble. They got on to me because I was walking around the hospital, and they made me delete some of the stuff that I did because I got in trouble.
Yeah, they probably think you're some sort of American terrorist. So
I did want
to bring up to you, make sure you go watch when you can get into Go Sports and go or to MajorLeaguePaintball.com and go watch the game. Yeah. One of the U16s, and I won't tell you who it is because I think you'll enjoy. He's on the D2 team that also wins the tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, so make sure you go check it out because it's awesome.
I'm gonna.
Just as a reminder, if you're wanting, go ahead.
Aiden's on from U19. Aiden was on Wrecking Crew, wasn't he?
Wrecking Crew, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So.
But there's a U16 player on the D2 team that wins the tournament.
I'm gonna.
So you have to go check it out. Again, just as a reminder, if you're wanting to do the Coaches Clinic, the 202 at World Cup on Wednesday at 10 a.m., you need to get signed up ASAP. The link is in the description of the show, or you can go to Major League Paintball, MajorLeaguePB.com/coaches show and click that link, and it'll take you right to our page. And you can sign up right up at the bottom of the page there, or you can send me or Mike or the Coaches Show Instagram a message, and we will send you the link. So if you're wanting to do that, please get signed up. We're going to talk about game management, some critical pieces of how to properly manage the game from time. Just go listen to the first part of the show. It'll tell you everything, all the things.
Mr. Lorenzo, you're the man. I'm sorry. I'm going to go watch this for now for sure. He's my little killer on the 16s.
Yeah, he's
all
awesome.
Of them. All of them were, but awesome. Okay,
yeah,
shut up.
I thought that would excite you.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I know that kid."
I love it. I love all those kids, man. I really do, and they had such supportive families. I really want to do an episode where we bring in, all the coaches and all that stuff, and maybe some of the players from the different teams. I'd love to do another one of those episodes because that was such an incredible.
2025 is right around the corner.
I know. I can't believe they invited us back.
We're going to have our year anniversary will be the show right after World Cup. So we'll plan something really fun and special for that.
Awesome.
Obviously we've got our hands full as World Cup is approaching. We're just a little over a month away now. So things are going to get exciting quickly. In fact, they're already getting exciting. We'll touch on this next week, but Austin Notorious picks up 2 of the Lucky 15s. That happened today.
Yep.
Blast Camp releases a player. A lot of changes kind of happening right here at the end of the season. So a lot of interesting things going on in the pro division. So we'll see kind of how that all pans out. It's really interesting too that 2 U.S. pros can't go play in Europe, but 2 European pros can come play in America on the same team. That's a little weird, but it is what it is. And congratulations to those Lucky 15s guys for getting picked up. I think there's a couple of them playing with Austin Notorious. There's a couple of them playing with Scout. Yeah. So even though their whole group didn't get to come, it looks like several of them are getting to come anyway. So, but we'll talk about
Tom a call.
We'll talk about more of those things next week. In fact, we'll have kind of we'll have an interesting show next week. We're gonna get into some little different content that I'll kind of start sharing throughout the week. Mike doesn't even know about it yet, so I'll tell him about it too. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for watching this episode of the Coaches Show. Thank you to Go Sports for use of the video, and Stephen Doherty for joining us tonight. Major League Paintball for all the support of the show. Darren Cessna, Alex Sorensen, Kevin Fillers, and Tom Cole. If you want to elevate your game, possibly play for Team USA, get the best knowledge in paintball at bkipaintball.com. Also, check out the combines and the summer camp. If you're looking for new gear in 2025, check out all that Max has to offer. You can get true custom work for all your soft goods, including jerseys, pants, tech tees, hats, whatever you need. So make sure you message them on their any of their social media pages. If you have not got a deal locked up for 2025, Max is a fantastic way to go. They can also get you equipment or gear to sell which most companies don't do. He can build you out a page right on his page. So reach out to Max if you're interested in re-gearing for 2025. I'm Ryan Gray with Mike Bianca. As always, be responsible.